Welcome back to Eye on Politics. Now to the Democratic primary for the newly drawn 33rd Congressional District, which is now only in Dallas County. It remains a Democratic majority district, and it's now also majority Latino. We spoke with all four candidates: former Congressman Colin Allred of Dallas, attorney and tech executive Zishan Hafiz, Congresswoman Julie Johnson, who represents the current 32nd District, and Carlos Quintanilla, who has been a community activist in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and has also run for Congress. Johnson has faced questions about her stock trades, while Allred has faced questions about some of his votes on illegal immigration. We asked them all why Democratic primary voters should choose them over their opponents.
Effectiveness, consistency to democratic values, and working hard to get the job done. You know, I have worked very hard while I've been in Congress to deliver real results for people. People are really struggling. And when the votes were on the line, when my opponent, Mr. Allred in particular, had a chance to stand with democratic values or stand with Republicans, he stood with Republicans. And that is not helping my people. An example of that is when he voted to allow Republicans to investigate nonprofit organizations. There are a lot of organizations right here in North Texas that rely to help serve LGBT community, the immigrant community, the homeless, people who need real help, that the Trump administration has targeted, in large part because of votes that Mr. Allred took. I voted to stand with immigrants. I voted to stand with the rule of law and make sure that due process means something in this country. He voted to allow mass deportations without due process. He voted to allow women who've been victims of sexual assault and violence to be deported without due process. That's not who we are as a country. Values matter.
I want to ask you about an issue that has come up during the campaign, stock trades. And you've been criticized after reports came out that you traded stock from Palantir, which is a company that the Trump administration uses to track people here illegally and then deport them. The reports say you bought it January 15th, days before President Trump took office, and again on February 12th. So talk to me about why that happened and what your thought is about the criticism.
Well, you know, I've been very upfront and very transparent about this. I've had independent money managers that have managed my stock and investment portfolio. I've made no independent decisions about what we buy, what we sell, anything of the sort. I have been very clear as supportive of a stock trading ban. I signed on to it right away, and I also voluntarily began the divestment process of any and all of my actively traded accounts, which required me to sell that stock. When I realized we had it, we sold it. And so, you know, this is a disingenuous argument. This is an attempt by Mr. Allred to create a smoke screen to deflect from his failed record of Democrats. But the reality of it goes as simple as this. We don't want members of Congress trading stocks. Okay, I'm going to sell my stocks. How dare you sell your stocks? How dare you, trade your stocks? It's a ridiculous argument. And I've been very clear. I've been upfront. I fully support a stock trading ban.
And so have you divested all of your individual stocks? The reason why I ask is that there was a couple of reports last year by notice.org that said you purchased individual stocks as late as August of 2025. And the report said that you were a top 2% in Congress. First of all, are those reports accurate? And number two, what sparked your decision last year? Because this was before this became an issue this year.
Well, because I support the stock trading ban. And so I have divested all of my actively traded stock accounts, 100%. And so I think it's important to actually do it. It's not required of me. It's totally voluntary. There's no rule in Congress right now that requires members of Congress to divest. All we are required to do is report. I have reported everything I've ever done in total compliance with the law, and I've gone a step further in that I have divested. And so I have divested from all of my actively traded stock accounts.
Well, I know this district well. It's one that I was born and raised in, and it's one that I've already served in some capacity. I've delivered $135 million in federal funds for this district before I even represented it. I have a record in Congress of being someone who really got a lot of things done and provided great services to my constituents. But I think it's also time where we have to have somebody who knows how to stand up to this administration. And I've certainly shown that I'll do that. Even when I was in a incredibly, as you know, politically tough district, I was always willing to speak out. I was certainly willing to stand up and fight on January 6th against that mob that was trying to overturn an election. And I'll stand up to this administration now. And I think that I have a record of service, but also one of serving with dignity, that in 6 years, I never took a dime of corporate PAC money because I didn't want anyone to think that I was serving someone else other than them, that in 6 years I never traded a single stock. Representative Johnson has only been in office for a little bit over a year. She's taken a very different approach, taking hundreds of thousands of dollars in corporate PAC money, being one of the top stock traders in the entire country, including trading on stocks on issues that were before the Congress and that she made profits on. I find that to be inappropriate.
She also accused you of voting with Republicans, allowing them to investigate nonprofits and allowing mass deportations without due process, even women who were victims of sexual assault. What do you say to that?
That's just not true. But also, she's talking about votes that were taken during the Biden administration. This is a very different administration with a very different approach to immigration enforcement and to immigration as a whole. And so to compare the two is really disingenuous and something that folks should recognize. There are many things that I think and approaches that I would never even consider under a Trump administration, knowing the abuse of power that they've taken and what they've done with ICE in particular, and the slush fund that it's received, the lowering of the standards for officers in ICE, and the way that it's not being adhering to the Constitution or to our values. There are many things that would change under this administration, but I haven't been in office under this administration in this second term. Ms. Johnson has.
A lot of Democratic primary voters that we're talking to are frustrated with the status quo. I think they've seen that the establishment Democrats have let us down. The country is going and creeping towards an authoritarian takeover by Donald Trump. We see with ICE and their gross injustices that are happening where they're literally murdering people on the streets. We have people with no badges, no uniforms, no IDs, wearing masks, terrorizing communities of color. I'm the candidate who's calling to prosecute and abolish ICE. Meanwhile, Colin and Julie believe it can be reformed. Meanwhile, Julie has profited off of Palantir stock while she's been in Congress. Meanwhile, we have the lack of ability to say, yes, there's a fine line in the sand that must be drawn. We must abolish ICE. And then we talk about other social justice issues. Let's talk about Palestine, the fact that we have a genocide occurring, and I'm the only candidate that's calling it a genocide. Julie and Colin refuse to call it a genocide. They have taken a combined $700,000 from AIPAC and the pro-Israel lobby. That's 700,000 reasons to vote against your best interests.
So if you are elected, what are your top priorities?
So my agenda is a very bold, progressive agenda. There's 10 platform issues that I'm running across the board. So one, we need a living wage, a minimum of $20 to $25 an hour. Julie actually just published an ad touting her support for the Raise the Minimum Wage Act. All that does is it raises the minimum wage to $9.50 an hour. The minimum wage has not been increased in over 17 years. That is not going to get the job done. We need to have a real minimum wage, a living wage of at least $20 to $25 an hour. Federally, across the board. And it would be adjusted to inflation, it would be adjusted to cost of living, so certain regions that would actually be higher. On top of that, we need to make sure that we provide free universal health care through Medicare for all. We need to provide free public education. When I say free, quality public education, that means both an investment in free public trade schools, free public colleges, free public universities, very much like in Europe, but also a national teacher fund that will increase teacher salaries. I think it is an atrocity that ICE agents get $50,000 signing bonuses and make six-figure salaries when they get starting out. Teachers are lucky to get a $1,000 signing bonus and won't even make $50,000 a year as a total salary. So I think that's something we need to legislate and fix, just like we did nationally with the child school lunch program that the federal government came in and helped on the education side. Number four, we need to invest in affordable housing. I want to build millions and millions of affordable housing units all across the country with rent control, similar to what Senator Sanders has proposed. Number five, we need to raise Social Security benefits, a minimum of $200 a month, by raising the cap on Social Security. If we do that, we can actually take care of our seniors, give them a life of dignity. Right now, they're really struggling.
My message to Democrats is that they should vote for me because I don't take any AIPAC money. I'm not a stockbroker. I haven't made $47 million. I haven't passed legislation that criminalizes undocumented individuals simply for being here in the United States. And we need to point out that Colin Allred voted for a bill that criminalizes immigrants simply for being here without any due process, without any final conviction of any crime. And so he just basically went along with the Republican leadership and voted for the Lake and Riley bill that significantly and adversely affects immigrant families. So you have two candidates running in a majority Latino district now preaching the gospel that they're champions for immigration. They haven't been there on issues on the deportations. You can't negate the fact that she bought Palantir stock. You look at your portfolio, you know what you're buying, you know what you're investing in, you get your reports. The mere fact that they invested in Palantir should have sent a red flag right from the very beginning. She should have said, wait, I don't want to buy Palantir stock. She bought it. I have a history of community activism. You've interviewed me many, many times, so I'm not unknown. I've been involved on issues affecting immigrant families. I led the anti-cheese heroin campaign when children were being addicted to cheese heroin. I did Farmers Branch, I did 635, I did Breakfast in the Classroom. So I've created a significant base.
If you are elected, what are your top priorities?
My top priority is to bring services and benefits to the 33rd Congressional District. My job is to make sure that we get vocational training programs, that we get programs to deal with the recidivism and allow individuals who've been convicted of a felony to be able to re-enter society. We need to bring drug treatment programs. We have a very critical issue with drug addiction among young people in our community. We have a serious problem. Yet we don't have enough rehabilitation programs. We don't have enough education programs for them.
So you would like to see an increase in federal funding
Absolutely.
to expand those opportunities?
Absolutely. I believe that my full-time job is to make sure that our community has access to benefits, access to affordable housing, access to job training programs, access to scholarship programs, access to housing programs, access to drug rehabilitation programs, access to small business loans. Small businesses are being devastated by the Trump tariffs. Businesses are closing down, businesses can't continue to grow, and in the Hispanic community, we're a very entrepreneurial community.
Former Fort Worth Mayor Pro Tem and council member Gyna Bivens is being remembered as a champion for the community. She died last week after announcing in October that she had pancreatic cancer. Colleagues praised her 12 years of service on the city council and representing East Fort Worth. She was 71.